Yeah. Shio. All right. How's it going? Welcome to the Red Road East. I'm your host, Fierce Truth Seeker. And I know that this is kind of spur of the moment. Had a very busy day. However, I wanted to finish up the last discussion. And I wanted to continue the conversation. There were some things that I didn't get a chance to cover in the last lecture. Okay. So let's see here. Let me see how many people we have watching. I'm trying to wait to get a few more people in here. Okay, we got 3 watching now. Okay, let's see. Okay, 4 people watching now. Yeah, just waiting. Yes. See if we get about maybe 3 more people coming in. Then I'll start. Okay, got a couple more who just joined. While we're waiting, I'm going to pull up a couple of documents. And we will be starting in a couple of minutes. I hope everybody is all right. Okay. Let a couple of more people come in. Yeah, we'll get about 2 or 3 more people in, then we'll start. Got 5 people watching now. Yeah, we get about 7 people in, then we'll start. Don't worry, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. Let's see here. Oh, okay. See, we got a comment. Somebody. Kiskeya Incan Ellie. Hey, Islam, Islam. Let's see if a couple of people dropped off. Don't drop off because we're about to get into it in a couple of minutes. Just waiting for a few more people to come in. Okay, see, another person came in. So we got 5 watching now. Just waiting for a couple of more people. This way I don't have to keep repeating information when people come late and things like that. So people are dropping off now. You got 4 watching now. Anyway, as soon as about 2 more minutes, we'll start, regardless of who is in and who is not. Let me just plug this laptop in. Okay. right. 2 more minutes and we will start. Ha, PNF. Hey, Islam Moor. PNF is in his ass. All right. Yeah. All right. So 10:18. Yeah, 2 more minutes. We'll start. And on this lecture is not going to be long. I promise I won't keep you all too long. It'll be about 30 minutes. I'm going to end it because I have some things that I have to do. I know that it's late, and I know other people out in YouTube land have things to do. So we're not going to carry it on too long. And in 1 more minute, we will start. Okay? 1 more minute. Okay. All right. We got four people watching now. People dropping off. It's okay. They can catch it. They can catch it when we finish. They'll just rewatch it. It won't be live. But, okay. And a couple more seconds, and we are gonna start. Okay. All right. 30 more seconds, and we will begin. All right. And it's almost that time. Let me pull up a document. I'm still getting used to this modern technology, so I'm not as quick with pulling up all of this stuff because I'm still getting used to how to do this stuff. So you have to bear with me. But anyway, we're going to start now. So, anyway, the topic of discussion is more hatred or Moorophobia, as I call it. I'm coining that term. All right. So I'm putting that on the record. Moorophobia. And it is actually a Pan-African tendency. Okay. It's a Pan-African tendency. And this is number 9 of the Moors and Indians Friends or Enemies series. Okay. Now, why I say that it is a Pan-Africanist tendency is because back in the days when there were those of us, myself included, who were saying that we are aboriginal to the land. When I say we, I am referring to the high melanated, dark skinned peoples of the Americas. Um, and that's not to say that the other people who are of the Asian persuasion do not have the blood as well. I'm not saying that, but what I'm referring to is the most ancient people on the land, okay? The what you call Asian persuasion or Siberian phenotyped indigenous people are ancient indeed on the land. However, there were a people who preceded them on the land, and those were the people who are phenotypically what you would call today African American or Black, etc., who fall under those misnomers today. Okay, so The Pan Africanists, for those who are familiar with Afrocentric thought and Pan Africanism, they don't have a high regard for Moors or Islam or anything affiliated with that. Okay. And again, like I said before, for those who may be new and just tuning in, who didn't hear the previous lectures, when I say Moor, okay, I am not solely referring to those on the African continent or those who are Muslims per se. Okay, I'm talking about Moor in its greater context. Okay, now in the Pan African community, they dog Moors. And I'm going to go even further, I'm going to extend this even further and say those tendencies are not only rooted in Pan Africanism, but they are also rooted in what we call today the Hebrew Israelite philosophy, because you have many people in the Aboriginal community today who subscribe to that religious ideology, and they have carried that over into this particular movement. Okay. However, originally, back in the days, we didn't have those type of attitudes towards Moors or even towards Africans. See the see you have influences that have come into this movement coming from different ideologies. So when people have those ideologies that they come from, and even a lot of people who call themselves Aborigines today will tell you that they started off as Pan Africanists or Afrocentrics, okay? And those attitudes trickle over. Same thing with a lot of those that I know personally. I'm talking about people that I know personally have been part of the Hebrew Israelite philosophy and or religion. Okay, and they hate Moors. They hate Africans. Okay, so they incorporated the whole anti-African attitudes into the ideology. They moved away and deviated from the original ideology, and they incorporated these feelings and belief systems. Okay, so you'll have people saying things like, well, Moors are responsible for conquest, and Moors are obsessed with conquering the world. They're conquerors. They're wicked. They're evil. They're responsible for colonization in the Americas. You know, then you have those other extremes where they say, "Oh, we can't stand the Africans." The Africans. It's some people in the. You say the word Africa, then they're ready to send out a lynch mob. Okay, and their whole thing is, to be able to say, I'm not African, and things of that nature, and they just fly off the handle. Some even said, there's some who even say that they would commit suicide if they found out they had African blood and things like that. Where did these ideologies come from? Nobody is asking these questions. Okay, but I'm telling you where it stemmed from, because it surely did not stem from those of us who were part of this movement before today's online social media movement that calls itself American Aborigines today. Okay, again, I mentioned Washita, okay, and a lot of their ideologies are coming from the Washita, Dedugdamanja nation of Moors, okay, also from various Moorish groups and their various literature that was put out back in the days, okay. And this is a fact. I know because I have been around long enough to have been there, okay, and been there long before there was today's Aboriginal movement. I know who the players are, where that ideology comes from, okay, and I know where it was hijacked from, okay, and I have a lot of people who come to my channel and bring this misinformation over here. Like I said, I for years I never said anything about any of the stuff that was said about Moors and things of that nature, hey, whatever, to each his own. But when you come to my channel and you try to correct me on things that you have no knowledge of, only things that you heard someone else say, or based on memes that you've seen on social media, then I have to address that. Okay. I've had people from that school of thought who, when they see me with my Cherokee turban on, say the most ridiculous and ignorant statements that you could ever imagine. Like, what are you doing with that uh, Turkish hat? And all kind of foolishness like that. That's not ours, and blah 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 blah. And you don't know how ridiculous and absurd and foolish you sound, because what it says is that you know absolutely nothing about indigenous culture or traditions. You have no connection whatsoever, because if you did, you would know that this is a traditional Cherokee headdress. Okay, traditional Cherokee headdress. Okay, you people have just jumped on a bandwagon and you have no connection to the culture. Okay, therefore, you have foolish people from that community who will come out with wearing war bonnets and stuff like that, looking like a circus clown, not even knowing that that is not the culture of the Aboriginal people of the East Coast. Okay, you're bringing plains, a Western Plains culture, and trying to make it as if you're wearing the real headdress of the Indians. Okay, that has nothing to do with the East Coast. Now I can see if you had blood connection to those tribes out in the plains and you wore that, but even still, you cannot put on a war bonnet. That is reserved, okay, for those who have certain rank. Everything on that bonnet has significance. Okay, you can't just put on a war bonnet. Okay, it has meaning, it has significance. Okay, the way that it is adorned has significance. Okay, so you find people who just jump on a bandwagon and take things and run with it. I have people from that community who have told me things like there were no people in Africa prior to the 1500s. And I'm like, where did you get that nonsense from? I mean, are you serious? No one in Africa before the 1500s. Obviously, obviously, you have done absolutely, and I mean absolutely, no research on African history to make a statement like that. I've had people come to me and say um, things like there were never any Africans here that came here to the Americas back in before Columbus's time. And I'm like, really? Are you serious? You see what the reason why people say foolishness like that is because you have people who, and it's sad, but the one good thing about back in the days in the 80s and 90s when they had the whole quote unquote black consciousness is that there was a lot of various schools of thought that was centered around the history of Africa and things of that nature, different movements and things like that. So we were able to come into awareness through that avenue. Okay. The people who are coming in today via what they call the Aboriginal movement had no prior, many of them had no prior consciousness until they heard, until they saw a Dane Calloway video. Okay. And you're at a serious disadvantage because you have, especially when you talk about someplace like Africa, you have no type of foundation. Okay. And being that most of them don't read books, they're only relying on the research of the people that they are following. Okay. And what happens then is that you put yourself at risk of flaws in someone else's research and oversights in someone else's research. And you're just regurgitating misinformation. Okay. So when people say things like that to me, I already know, just based on your statements, I know that you haven't done any reading. You haven't done, you're speaking about, number one, you're speaking about Africa and you don't know anything even about Africa. Okay. So it's like to say that Africa was not populated before the 1500s. Well, I mean, if that be the case, then what about the Malian Empire? Okay. There's scores of documentation on the Malian Empire. Okay. Who was Mansa Musa? Okay. Mansa Musa, the Malian Empire. Okay. You're talking about the 1300s. Okay. And this is common knowledge. Okay. Mansa Musa is even has even been acknowledged in Forbes magazine as someone who was richer than any man alive today. Now, if that wasn't real, do you think Forbes magazine would fess up to something like that? That's a serious blow to white supremacy. They're just not going to do that. Okay. Of course, now you have they're trying to claim that Mansa Musa was white or Caucasian, which is totally false, because all you have to do is look at the depictions of Mansa Musa in the records, and you will see he looks nothing like he is Caucasian. Okay. So, but that kills that argument just in and of itself, to say that there were no people in Africa prior to the 1500s. That's ridiculous. Okay. Um, what about the Songhai Empire? Okay. Let me see. I don't want y'all to just believe what I'm saying. Let me pull up a document. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up a document. I'm going to pull up a document because I know that if I say it, some of y'all are going to say BS. So, therefore, I'm going to pull up a document. I'm not going to read the whole document because I promised that we would stick to the time frame. Okay. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling this document up now. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I'm pulling up the document. Okay. All right. So here is that. And now let me share. So I want to share the document. I'm going to screen share so that you can see. Share. Okay. Let's see. Share screen. Share screen. Window. And I'm going to share now. Here we go. All right. Let me see if y'all can see this. Okay. And I'm going to read from this document. Songhai Empire, circa 1375 to 1591. Okay, since you're not going to believe me, y'all like to say that there was no one in Africa prior to the 1500s. So we have to straighten out all this nonsense for those who come to my page and try to present this foolishness to me when I know better. Okay, so reading, it says, the Songhai Empire was the largest and last of three major pre-colonial empires to emerge in West Africa. From its capital at Gao on the Niger River, Songhai expanded in all directions until it stretched from the Atlantic Ocean, modern Senegal and Gambia, to what is now northwest Nigeria and central Niger. Gao, Songhai's capital, which remains to this day a small Niger River trading center, was home to the famous Gao Mosque and tomb of Askia, the most important of the Songhai emperors. The cities of Timbuktu and Janneh were the other major cultural and commercial centers of the empire. The Songhai people founded Gao around 800 AD and established it as their capital in the 11th century during the reign of Diakosi. Whoa, wait a minute. I thought that there was no one in Africa prior to the 1500s. That just shuts that down quick fast in and of itself. I don't even have to read any further. Okay, I'll read it again. The Songhai people founded Gao around 800 AD and established it as their capital in the 11th century during the reign of Diakosi. As the city and region grew in importance, the Malian Empire incorporated both it as it expanded. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. The Malian Empire incorporated both as it expanded across the West African savanna. Mali's power, however, was eventually weakened by palace intrigue that interrupted the orderly succession of emperors. Recognizing the weakness at the center of Mali, Gao rebelled in 1375. Wait, in 1675? Wait a minute. In 1775? No. Wait. Did you say 1875? No. 1375. 1375 is prior to 1500. Am I right or am I wrong? Okay. In 1375, Songhai then began its own imperial expansion at the expanse of Mali, conquering Mema in 1465. Okay, we're still before 1500, in the 1500s. 1465, and 3 years later, seizing Timbuktu, the largest city in the region, from the Tuareg, who had recently taken it from Mali. Okay. Tuni Ali Burr, the military commander responsible for these victories, is widely considered the first great ruler of the Songhai Empire. He continued to enlarge the empire, taking control of important trans-Saharan trade routes as well as other cities and provinces of Mali. Okay, and we don't need to go much further than that because we have already established that Africa was populated before the 1500s. And of course, it was populated well before that. Okay. But that is one proof right there. Okay. You pull up another document. Give me 1 second. Okay, let me X that out. Okay, X that out. Let me see who we got in here so far. Before I go forward, let me just acknowledge some of the, and I know I promised I would get to some of the comments from the last lecture. So comments and concerns, I may do that. Let me see, how long have we been on so far? Let's see. So I can gauge the time. Let me see, 3. They don't give you the accurate time on here. It says started streaming 90 seconds ago. Yeah, that's crazy. Where did they get this from? And let me see if maybe if I refresh my screen, maybe that would update the time. Okay, 38 minutes ago. So we're already over the time. Okay. But I do want to acknowledge some of the people that is here. Let's see. Give me a second. Oh, and also, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. Also, if anyone is so kind to leave a donation, gonna leave the information in the chat. Give me 1 second here. There's the link here I just put in the chat for anyone who is generous enough to leave a donation. Uh, that's the link there. So I want to acknowledge, see who we have here. Okay, I already acknowledged. I'm not going to recall those who I already acknowledged. I want to get to everybody. We have Greenhouse Homestead. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Okay. Greenhouse Homestead from Philly, now in Arizona. How are you? Remember Red Deer? Yes, I remember Red Deer. Cherokee Cultural Circle. Yes, yes, yes. Straight out of New York. Chief Sitting Sun. Yep. Chief Sitting Sun. Yes, indeed. Greenhouse Homestead. I had reached out to you on Facebook and Messenger. I never heard back from you. Check, this was at least a year ago. Check your Facebook Messenger, okay? Because I had something I wanted to discuss with you. I'm not going to discuss it while we are live on the air, but check your Facebook Messenger. Okay, who else do we have here? All right, and we have American Research News Channel. All right, the war bonnet is ceremonial for warriors, and certain Siouan are not mound builders. Yeah, for the warriors, exactly. You know. All right, and I thank those who have joined in. Now, let me share another document, okay? Because I don't like to just talk. I like to bring the receipts. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. I'm pulling up another document. 1 second. Okay. Let's see now. Share. Let's see here. Because when you do research, you always want to cross reference. Okay, you always want to cross reference. So I'm gonna take this document here, move it over. Okay, so that is separate. Let's see. Okay, and I'm gonna share screen, share screen, share screen, window, and we're getting this one here and share. Here we go. All right, World History Encyclopedia. Okay, as you can see, Songhai Empire. So this is not just coming from my mouth. It's not just coming from one source. Okay, and you can do your research here. All right, as well. Okay, the Songhai Empire, aka Songhai, circa 1460 to 1591, replaced the Mali Empire, 1240 to 1645, as the most important state in West Africa, covering modern Mauritania and Mali. Originating as a smaller kingdom along the eastern bend of the River Niger, circa 1000, the Songhai would expand their territory dramatically from the reign of King Sunni Ali, 1464 to 1492. Okay. Now, 1460 is before the 1500s. 1240 is before the 1500s. Okay. So, I mean, where are you people getting your information from? I mean, you're making yourselves look ridiculous, and you're going, and the thing is, you're going in front of the world with all of this misinformation. How are you going to be taken again, like we talked about in the previous lecture when I had my godmother on here, who is tribally affiliated? Okay. How are you going to be taken seriously in terms of establishing yourself as a nation and going before officials with pseudo history? Okay, you really have to get it together, because when you say things like that, they're going to laugh at you. They're just going to look at you as a big joke. Okay, as a big joke. Okay, so here we have another document. Let me stop sharing this right here. Okay, now if there were no people in Africa prior to the 1500s, then what about the Ashango bone? Okay, which is a bone that they found in Africa, in the Congo. Okay, and this was at one time thought of as the oldest evidence of mathematics in the world. Okay, even though now they've found another artifact that even predates the Ashango bone. Okay, now the Ashango bone is like 8,000 years old. Okay, now 8,000 years ago, that's way, way beyond the 1500s. Okay, so what happened to there were no people in Africa prior to the 1500s? Not only that, what about people like the Dogon in Mali, West Africa? You're going to tell me that the Dogon didn't exist? The Dogon are still there in Africa today, and they have their oral history tight. Okay, and the Dogon, for those of you who don't know, the Dogon baffled the European scholars and scientists who came among them. And the Dogon was talking about where they come from. And they were telling the scientists that they come from the Sirius star system. And they explained it in detail. And they even explained planetary bodies and things of that nature that the Western scientists could not pick up on their technology, with their telescopes and things of that nature. Now, they dismissed them as primitives and laughed at them. And later on, as their technology advanced, they came to find out that what the Dogon was telling them was right and exact. And they found those bodies exactly where the Dogons said they were. So what their scientists said, they tried to dismiss them. And they said that there's no way that these primitives could have knowledge like that. And they chalked it up to, they say it was just a lucky guess on their part. Okay. But anyway, there's been books written about the Dogon and things of that nature. Okay. But the Dogons are remnants of Egyptians, okay, that went up into the mountains in Mali. Okay. They live excluded. They don't mess with anybody, you know. Their priests and stuff like that stay like tucked away where you can't even touch them. Okay. So what about the Dogon? There's no people in Africa prior to 1500s. Okay. What about the fact that they found evidence of iron smelting in Africa like about 2,000 years ago? Okay. They found that evidence west of Lake Victoria. Okay. So we have to stop with this stuff. Um, with this misinformation, you know, we have to stop it. Okay. Um, what else? I mean, the list goes on. It's plenty of scholarly works that just debunks that type of ideology. You know, I mean, it's I mean, and it's really, this is really, common knowledge. To anyone who's even has an introductory knowledge of African studies. You know, what about the Nubians? Okay, what about the Nubians? Okay, and the Nubians had the Nubians were established, okay, And we're talking about pre-dynastic Egyptians were established in Africa going back to like 22 like 2200 BC. Okay? So now what happened to there were no people in Africa prior to the 1500s? Okay? So, I'm just trying to debunk a lot of this mythical stuff that people come to me with on my page, on my channel, you know, and it just it's just becoming ridiculous. Let me see who I'm going to look on the previous comments from the last show. Give me 1 second because I do want to. I did promise to address some of those questions because a lot of people had questions during that last show. I may not be able to get to all of them tonight, but I promise that I will get to them eventually. Okay. So let's see here what we have. Well, we have some people who just joined in as well. Okay. Let me acknowledge them. All right. Hey, Shiu. Yeah, this is Shell Shell the Lump. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. See, my eyes can't see these tiny letters like that, so I have to look on the bigger monitor here to see a little bit clearer. Yeah, Shell the Lump. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Then we have Shio, the fourth pad. Okay. Thank you for tuning in as well. And what I want to do right now, let me look at some of the comments from the last show that I didn't get the questions from the last show that I didn't get a chance to get to. Let's see. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we had a comment. Someone said, how come they see some pale face Moors in their research? Okay, well, pale face Moors, I could ask the same question. Why do we find pale face Indians? Same thing, you know. The Moors of old have become watered down, okay? Mixing and marrying. Same thing that happened here on this land, okay? You find those who are quote unquote Indian who are pale, mixing and marrying, okay? Why do you find some quote unquote African Americans who come in various shades? You have some so called African Americans who are light, bright, damn near white. How come we see them? Same thing. That's an easy one there. Uh, let's see. And that if I don't understand that one. I think I answered that question already. Yeah, and someone in the comment section had answered that question too. They said, "What research you see with pale-faced Moors? Some are called tawny Moors." Exactly, tawny Moors. That's what they call them, tawny Moors. You know, the amalgamated Moors, the tawny Moors. Yeah. Let's see. Let us see. Let us see here. And another comment is in regard to the treaties, because we, in that particular lecture, we talked about the treaties. Okay, the lecture from the last lecture. And we mentioned the fact that those people who call themselves Aborigines today, you have no treaties. Okay. You can't hop on the treaties of the tribes. Okay. Because they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Okay. Especially being that a lot of you say you're not Indian or Native American. Okay. And this question is asking, they're saying, or commenting rather, when we said that, they said, this particular person said, our treaties are your treaties. You have to specify, what do you mean by that? Okay. Because you can't go into court and say, well, our treaties are such and such as treaties and blah, 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 blah. First, you have to even define who you are. Okay. And if you can't even get that clear, then you can't lay claim to any treaty. Okay. We'll chop it up in another discussion and take a in-depth look at that. Okay. Because if you're trying to separate yourself from the tribes, then you can't use their treaties. Okay. And then you say you're not Moors, so you surely can't use our treaties. Okay. And you can't just jump up and create something out of thin air. Okay. And so you're just Mr. In Between. Okay. And nobody likes to deal with Mr. In Between. Okay. So you have to first find out who you really are. Okay. And again, like I said before in the last lecture, this is what happens when you hijack someone else's ideology. Okay. And you leave out certain parts and take certain parts that fit your narrative. Somewhere along the line, there's gonna be a snag there. There's gonna be a chink in your armor. Okay. So, you know, this particular movement of today is new. You don't have anything to really make an intelligent claim in court. Okay. If you're gonna attach yourself to a tribe, then do that. Okay. Do that. Get your genealogy together. Okay. And approach the tribe and, take it from there. If you're gonna go deeper, and you want to go the Moorish route or whatever, do your homework on that, do your research on that, and do that. But don't be in between. Okay. So, and again, that's another subject for another time. We'll do a whole topic centered around that. And this way we can speak at length, because it's a lengthy discussion and an in-depth discussion that you can't just skim over in a short period of time. Okay. So now, see, and that's the problem too. See, if you see, like I said before, we didn't have these kind of hangups back in the days about, you know, uh, we're not this, we're not that, and blah, 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 blah. We didn't have the whole identity crisis that exists in this movement today, you know. Now, let me see here. I'm going to take one more comment from the last discussion, and then I will close out. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. Someone said, oh, I answered that question already. Let me see. Oh, want the knowledge. We just want the knowledge. Oh, okay. No, that's not it. I think that's, wait a minute. I think we got to all of those questions. Wait. Yeah, we got to that already. I think we got everything. Yeah. Yeah, I think we got to everything. So, let's see who. Let me just make sure I'm not missing anybody from this discussion. Okay, I got everybody from this discussion. All right. And yeah, we've been going we've been going a little bit over an hour. I didn't want to go this long. I just wanted to finish up with the discussion from the last time. Let me see. Let me just make sure I'm not leaving anything out that I didn't that I didn't leave anything out that I wanted to cover in this particular presentation. Let's see. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that I'm covering all of the topics, or should I say all of the points that I wanted to cover. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, I think that's it. So, what we're going to do, we're going to close out now. And we're going to, this is number 9 of the Moors and Indians, Friends and Enemies. Okay. Oh, this, we got a couple of more people who just joined in. Well, one more. Lil Mayhem, Wild Indian TV. Hey, Shield brother. Yeah. Okay, I know you're just tuning in and we are just tuning out. What you can do, you can post your question and I can answer them on the next live. Okay. And I think that'll probably be the best way to do it because we've been going. Promised um, I promised my wife that I wouldn't go over half an hour, and we've been going over an hour now. So, but do post your question. This way, I can make sure that your question is the first one on the next live. Okay. So if you want to do that now before I close out, then, or you could even put it in the comment section later on. You can do that too. Okay. But I know you have questions about getting enrolled. Okay. And yeah, we can do that. And we're also going to take a look at some of the roles, some of the tribal roles in one of the next lives. Myself and Firebird, we're going to. Well, I have different roles here. So if you want to do that, we can take a look and see if that helps you any. All right. So we're gonna close out now, and I wish we had more time, but we will be back. Okay. And during the next presentation, which will be number 10, we're going to go more in depth into this Moorish connection. Okay. The next presentation is really going to be heavy. Okay. I really suggest that you tune in, do not miss it, because it's I'm telling you, it's going to be intense. Okay. So on that note, I'm going to say until the next time, daughter dog hunty.